speaking of laughs, she's a comedian. Kenice Mobley is her name. She made kind of waves last week because she had been hired at the beginning of June by WWE as a writer, and she went on a podcast called the Asian Not Asian podcast, and the subject came up of her working for WWE, and here's what she had to say. Yes, I've just been hired by WWE. Given the things that you know about me and my entire life and what I'm into, yes, that's surprising. Yes, also a surprise for me. They did not require me to know anything about wrestling, but I do have a background in film production and comedy writing, and they're like, perfect, come on in. So I'm on the Monday Night Raw team. So they're so I'm on the Monday Night Raw team. So there's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. I mean, look, she's got it right so far. Good on her.
Yeah.
She's done her homework. The people I know that are on it are Bobby. His name is either Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley. And I really should know that. He's like this giant black guy, and he and the people who are part of his crew, I know that they call, or at least as of last year, they called themselves the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business. They wear suits and they're like, we're cool. So, I mean, shockingly, her commitment to her job did not shine through on this podcast appearance, and she was let go. And there's kind of two schools of thought. Some people were saying that, people were giving her too much of a hard time in social media. Other people were saying, she kind of brought it on herself by what she did. Where do you sit on it? Because they've brought, she's done this in a public forum. Was it too much of a punishment to let her go, or was it justified?
Well, I can understand why WWE did it, because there would have been all these complaints and accusations towards the company of why have you hired someone who has almost no product knowledge? But I mean, they've been doing that for like 15 years or maybe even longer than that now. So it's not really a qualification for employment on the creative team in WWE is knowing something about pro wrestling history. And I think it can often be a disadvantage. Because, if you go in there and you're giddy about, Eddie Graham or All Japan Pro Wrestling or something like that, you'll be stigmatized. You'll be like tarred as a mark and probably fired before the end of the working day. So, I mean, all I can say about this latest writer who lost a job is honesty is not the best policy with WWE. In fact, it's usually never the best policy with WWE. But I mean, how was she to know that? Because she knows so little about the company. She went on this podcast and told the truth about what she knew and didn't know about this company. And that upset someone in a position of power in WWE, and she was sent packing. I mean, I don't really blame her, because she probably thought she was doing the right thing by being honest. But, someone should have smartened her up about the business. Maybe she should have smartened herself up about the business before she took a job with the largest wrestling company in the world. So I think it's a two-way street here. I think they're both at fault. WWE for hiring her and then for firing her because she admitted she didn't really have much product knowledge when they had to know that when they hired her. And her for not knowing what she should and shouldn't say about her job on a podcast. So I think they're both at fault here. But you know what, Kenny? It's probably for the best. I mean, I sense that she might not have lasted in that environment, and she'll probably be happier working somewhere else. What do you think?
I think she's an idiot. I think that she, if this had been like caught on her phone, or if she was in a coffee shop and she was talking to a friend and somehow somebody recorded her, then I would feel really bad for her. But she went on this podcast, essentially was bragging that she doesn't really know a lot about it. It's like, if I wrote for EastEnders, I'm not going to go on a podcast and go, oh yeah, I'm writing for this character, Paul Mitchell. I'm not going to, if I don't know the name, I'm just probably going to leave the name. But she's kind of, saying it as if it's quirky that she's got this job that, that she doesn't know anything about it. So, because I did hear a thing, and it's just interesting to kind of, I guess, speculate about it. Dave Meltzer was saying that a couple of people he spoke to who are in the company, wrestlers, had kind of said that they were quite disappointed because they'd kind of maybe hoped that that's not really what goes on, that maybe the writers do know more than they would think. And this is not a great test that she... imagine if you're Bobby Lashley and you're the world champion and you're on Raw and you walk into work the next week and you go, so one of the writers doesn't know my name. It doesn't instill you with the biggest sort of boost the confidence that the team are behind you. It's kind of
Yeah,
embarrassing. It almost shows
it
how
is.
out of touch WWE must be if the writer can't even remember the world champion's name. You know,
Yeah,
but
I agree, and also it's sort of demeaning in a sense to Lashley that he's not a household name. The guy who's the WWE champion, should be a household. Obviously, he isn't, but I mean that's
mhm.
probably how he likes to think that he's received or seen by the world in general. And it is, yeah, it is kind of unforgivable that she would say that. I mean, she should have had enough emotional intelligence to know how that would have been received by her superiors. But maybe she just thought, oh, it's really funny how come I don't really know anything about the business, but I'm eager to learn. And, they've been very supportive of my lack of knowledge of this product. And I'm getting on with everyone and I can't wait to learn more about the business. And maybe she thought, well, it's kind of a fun anecdote to say on the podcast. Um, Sadly, in the end, the joke, she's a comedian, right? The joke is on her, So, the fact that she's lost a job over it. But as I said, she probably wouldn't have made it in that environment if she didn't really know the biz. Because as we know, Kenny, this is a difficult industry to get your head around.